right, I'm excited today, Dave. This is David Friedman for TCA Crossroads, where investors and entrepreneurs connect. And I'm with my famous co-host, Dave Berkus. How are you, Dave?
Ah, shucks, doing fine. It's a good day in Southern California. The sun just came out. It's summertime. And so, hello, David. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, same here. Do you want? I can hum a few bars of "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore," but it's probably the wrong song to sing, and I think that will eliminate the viewership.
Exactly. And if you want people to stick around, don't you dare do that.
Yeah, I will not do that. I was trying to remember my youth doing doo-wop on the streets of New York, but apparently this is not the right time.
Not the right time, but we do have a good subject today. I'd like you to start by introducing our guest, and then I'll kind of jump in when the time is right.
I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to bring on Joann. Hi, Joann. How are you?
Hi, David. Hi,
Hey,
Dave. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're real excited to see you as well. And, Joann MacMaster is the co-director or assistant director of the Angel Syndication Network of the Angel Capital Association. That's a big business card you must carry around, by the way.
Thanks.
So I'm going to turn over to Dave for, the start of this podcast, and, we'll go from there.
Okay, well, Joann, first of all, you're in Myrtle Beach, Florida. So we are yelling out the window to be able to hear each other today. But glad to see you. And the big question is, tell us about ASN, how it is part of the network, and what you do.
Yeah, so, well, thank you. ASN is an acronym for the Angel Syndication Network. And
Mm-hmm.
really, it's a collaborative opportunity for angel groups to gather and talk about deals and syndicate. So we're looking to work together to help fill out rounds, support founding companies, and advance the companies forward. Most of our members are also members of the Angel Capital Association. So I'll make a comment there. The Angel Capital Association is really the professional association for angel investors and early stage investors nationwide. And today has 15,000 members represented roughly, and several of those run angel groups, about 200 angel groups in the fold, and those angel groups want opportunities to syndicate. So the Angel Syndication Network provides another option for them to connect on a meaningful level to share deals. And the Angel Syndication Network was founded in the early 20 teens by Richard Sudek out of Tech Coast Angels, and as a way for TCA to see also new opportunities, not just in the Southwest, but across the country.
Well said. In fact, that's something to talk about for a second before I turn it back over to David. And that is that the average deal size for the average angel group is around $400,000, as I remember. And there are a lot of groups who apply who expect to see and want to see more. So how does ASN help, and how often is ASN successful?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head. I mean, check sizes are getting smaller, fund, rounds are getting larger, companies need more capital to move forward more quickly, right? So it becomes a real challenge when you have an angel group that may only be able to invest 250K or 400K in a deal. So the easiest and best way for that to happen is for the company to connect with other angel groups and look for additional investors in the round. Syndication enables that to happen, and what ASN does is it really facilitates the presentation, so a lot of angel groups can come together at the same time, hear the company presentation, and look for opportunities to collaborate. So, and I can talk more about the process as we go through it, but as a company goes forward and presents to ASN, there's already an angel group or an investment group that's serving as the deal lead, and that's made a commitment. And this makes it really easy for the other angel groups and investors to engage, because there's due diligence, there's a term sheet, the company is a little bit further advanced, there's an investment that's already been committed, and there's just enough left in the round for those other angel groups or investor groups to come in, right, and close out the round. And that makes it a lot more efficient for the company, because then they have access to a wider range of angel groups or investment groups across the country. And I keep saying angel investment groups. It's been predominantly led by angel groups, but we're seeing more family offices, VC funds. We're also seeing a lot of accredited and individual investors that want to engage. So the kind of the network has really expanded a lot for ASN.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so TCA, obviously, with Richard starting it as a member, and I participate, but why don't you tell our audience how often meetings are held? Is it once a year, once a month, once a day? And who actually participates and how that participation actually works? What is presented at these meetings?
Yeah, so the screening meetings occur once a month. It's the first Thursday of the month, and they're open to accredited groups, accredited investors who can come and participate. ASN is made up of two different kinds of members. We have nominating members who pay a small annual fee, and we have non-nominating members who pay nothing, right? So it's free for them to participate and pick up deals. The nominating members are the ones that move the company forward. They have the due diligence. They've met the criteria. They make the recommendation to our staff, Laura Becken, who coordinates that. It's a first come first served basis. We don't do ASN doesn't do any vetting. It doesn't do any negotiating. It just facilitates the opportunity. So at this monthly screening, we'll see 3 companies present. And each company is introduced by the nominating group. So what a great way for the nominating group to get exposure, right? Talk about why they like the deal. The company does the presentation. They have 12 minutes to present, 12 minutes for questions. And one of the greatest pieces of feedback I've heard from founders is they're surprised because during the questions, they get questions from everybody. We might have 50 people, 70 people on a call, different groups represented. And now they're picking up ideas and considerations that they might not have thought otherwise. And the groups also sometimes feed off of each other. So David, you're a great example where you might attend and you ask really great questions and other groups will say, wow, I didn't really think about it from that perspective, right? You bring up a lot of good questions about market and competitive advantage and things that, that might have been unexpected. So it's a really good way to collaborate, but it's also a great way for founders to get that early feedback, when they're doing that presentation.
Yeah, so that's the first ASN is the main one that we started, Richard started, and that was for deals in which an angel group has invested a certain amount of money and they're filling out a round.
That's right.
Can you also talk about the Trending Thursday one, Trending Thursday, which is a little earlier stage, and how that differs in terms of deal flow?
Yeah, so this is a new initiative this year. Trending Thursdays also meets once a month, and it is a screening. We'll see more deals for 5 companies, and these are deals that are very early. The idea is the company presents, and the groups on the call have a chance to participate and work together to finish the due diligence, all of the other things that may be necessary before they're ready to make an investment. So it's kind of an early glimpse, but also an opportunity to collaborate earlier upstream on the deal, right? So it's really a nice runway to see new opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. And both of those meetings run about an hour and a half. So it's not a big chunk of time. So, an angel group or an investment group or a deal junkie, such as yourselves could show up, hear the few deals, ask good questions. And at the end of the presentation, you're immediately connected to the deal lead and the company, right? So it's up to you to decide how you want to take the next steps. Again, ASN just facilitates that introduction and totally respects the timeline and the process that you have personally for your group or for yourself.
David, there is your new title for your Top Gun pilot helmet. You're a deal junkie.
I'm not sure that would be the first thing that I would want to have on my helmet, but it's better than the other alternatives I've heard.
So, Joann, are there any successes that we can claim from ASN that have come out of these?
Yeah, so that's a challenge because getting the data, collecting the data is sort of the next, big thing for us to work on. We've had over 70 companies funded as a result of their presentations to ASN in the last 10 years or so. And I don't have all of those numbers. I know last year the companies that presented that got funding raised just over $4.5 million. But again, I think those numbers are a little bit underreported. So we're working on that piece of it. But from a success perspective, we get testimonials from founders all the time who tell us, they love access to, the larger network of investors to close out their immediate round. But more importantly, they're getting the feedback and they're building those long-term relationships, right? So whatever they need next. And a really good study, case study of this is a company. In fact, I just talked to them this week. It's called Delta Development. And, they just closed their round. They presented to ASN, and I'm looking at the quote that the CTO shared, but he said, rather than spending months traveling to individual meetings, Delta was able to present to multiple groups simultaneously and connect with investors who truly believed in their mission. So, they provide advanced emergency blood transfusion technology out in the field and also to first responders. They're in the news. I mean, you can check out their website. They've got revenue. It's a really exciting and compelling story, a life-changing story. And, they're just saying how wonderful their experience with ASN was. They learned quite a bit.
I love the quotes. Nice. David?
Yeah. So how does the initiating company, the one that has provided the first introduction to that company for ASN, get involved after they go through the ASN process? Do they do the other angels that are interested contact them? Do they contact the company? And what happens about different standards in due diligence? We all are kind of quirky in many ways. And
Yeah.
do they use one due diligence report and add to it, or do they start again? And how does that affect the company? Have you heard any feedback?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. So, you know, groups like to build trusted relationships. I mean, I used to run Desert Angels, and from your own experiences, you get hundreds of requests for funding every day, right? And
Yeah.
so trying to figure out, where the best opportunities are, where the trusted opportunities are, really starts with building those long-term relationships with other groups. So when a company comes to present, often the interested folks that are on the call will go back to the deal lead. They'll go to the nominating group and they'll say, tell me a little bit more. I'd like to see the due diligence. What are your thoughts, in addition? And then at that point, they may say, right, we want to see the company. We want to hear them present to our group. Usually, they're not writing a check on the same day, but they're, beginning the next stages of their own assessment. And what I discovered with ASN is every group approaches due diligence differently, as you know. And, some do an excessive, incredible amount of due diligence, and some just may not have the ability to do that, but they do some due diligence. So when a group is interested in a deal, the first thing they do is look at the due diligence, and then they'll do their own gap diligence. So they'll try and figure out from their own members' perspective, what's interesting to them, what do they need to know, what are the missing pieces. They may invite the company to do another presentation or a deep dive or a discussion. So there's a lot of follow-up that may happen. Having the due diligence and the presentation at ASN definitely expedites the process, right? It makes it a lot easier for the company and for the nominating angel group. But there still are those next steps, and every angel group has kind of a different approach. You mentioned due diligence, and that's on the forefront of everybody's mind right now, especially as new AI tools come into play. And groups like TCA, for example, have really led the charter in how to use AI for due
I
diligence.
feel good about that. Thanks for the kudos on that one.
Yeah,
that
well,
was
and
David.
thank you for presenting, for at ASN and different places to help us understand how to do that. So groups are learning, and that's the other benefit of something like ASN, where it's inherent. You're sharing best practices and ideas real time. So you're learning from your peer groups. That's building the further relationships, increasing those deal connections and opportunities for collaboration and long-term relationships. Because the most important thing I could say about ASN, if I can only say one thing, and that is ASN members start with the end in mind, right? The goal is to help these companies move forward to a successful future exit, because that's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for us as investors. It's a win-win for the companies. It's a win-win for the communities. It's a win-win for the industry in general. So, we really are focused on success.
You mentioned that you were head of the Desert Angels, and I
Yes, sir.
wasn't aware of that. How many members do Desert Angels have?
When I left Desert Angels, so I led Desert Angels for 5 years, the last 5 years, and I recently retired here to Myrtle Beach. And when I left, there were about 100 members, and it's a network of individual investors. And Desert Angels also ran 12 sidecar funds.
Okay, and how much in the way of deal flow did they see? You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, a lot. So, in the last 10 years, we've been in the top 5, or top 10 most active angel groups in the country, doing, 15 to 20 deals in a year, $4 to $6 million a year, definitely punching above our weight class, considering Desert Angels is based in Tucson, Arizona. And COVID changed our business model like it did most angel groups, right? It completely opened up those geographical boundaries. So Desert Angels now looks for really the best opportunities regardless of location. But like many other angel groups, and I won't go off on a tangent on this, but Desert Angels charter was a lot to serve local, economic development, right, and local company formation and startup. But now it's really shifted towards, looking at this more as an asset class and the better opportunities for its members. And I think that's something that a lot of angel groups are going through right now.
And I was leading with a softball because
Ah.
Desert Angels was one of the larger angel groups. It is. And it's a group that has a lot of great deal flow, which means a lot of the members of ASN want access to the good
Yeah.
deal flow that some of these bigger angel groups see. So that was just a compliment. I just wanted to make sure that we got that as a way in which people like the way ASN performs.
Well, thank
David?
you. And in transparency, Delta Development is a portfolio company of Desert Angels, the company I mentioned earlier. So Desert Angels has taken advantage of the ASN opportunities.
So let me ask you a question. What else do you see on the agenda for ACA to encourage syndication? Because the rounds are getting larger, the valuations are getting higher, and not one angel group that I know is taking the entire round. So we have to look at our compadres, to help fill those rounds or to be able to provide the right deal flow. Because everyone's complaining, we want the next unicorn, we want the next unicorn. And it's, as you know, it's a tough market to be in to try to find that perfect, company that's going to give you that return. What else is on the agenda, if you can share it, if we have it for ACA, that's going to encourage more syndication? Do you see more of these syndication meetings? Do you see offshoots?
Yes. So the Angel Capital Association is hard at work trying to, understand and serve the syndication issues for its members. There are regional syndication groups that meet on a monthly basis. There are industry-based and other, focus groups that meet on a monthly basis, that share deals. And in those cases, there's an opportunity for those groups to connect depending on their affinity interests, right? Whether it's a particular deal or stage or location or region, to see the opportunities. And the ACA is also working in partnership with another company to build a platform that would help list out or curate those deals so that the syndication groups can have access to the deals. And ASN would be perceived as, one of the syndication groups, right, within that portfolio of syndication efforts. The ACA also formed a new syndication committee last year to spearhead this effort because they realized that, this is really an important next step for angel funding, well, for early stage funding, full stop. And so they're doing a lot of work to try and address that now. And you can go to the Angel Capital Association website anytime and see, if you're a member, you can see the syndication calls that are coming up. If you're not a member, you can learn more about how to join ACA to see those.
We'll get to that in a second, because before you leave, we want to make sure that you put in a plug for ACA and the ASN and how to join. But I want to turn it over to Dave because he may have a couple of other questions for you.
I think we're coming toward the end. And so my last question, Joann, is do you have a vision for where the ASN should go from here?
That's a really tough question because ASN is a collaborative effort of members. So I think we are so fortunate to have a strong advising team of members, more active angel groups that advise ASN and move it forward. So I think it would be a collective vision, and the collective vision would be really streamlining the process for companies, streamlining the process for due diligence, making those connections easier, facilitating the process, in an easier way, becoming a little bit more careful about how we track data and report, because we have a lot of history to draw from, and making sure that we're effective and that we stay on our mark, which is, the future successful exits, right, for the companies and for our members.
I have found ACA to be extremely good. I found ASN to be good. I've developed some extraordinarily strong relationships that have become part of TCA Venture Group's strategic affiliate program. So I have loved to be I love participating with it, and learning actually every time I get into these meetings or the ACA summits or the regional meetings. It's a continual learning experience. So I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful to have that opportunity. Also, not being kicked out of any of the meetings for some of my comments, but that's a different issue. But before we leave, I just wanted you to tell the audience how, as an investor or even maybe as an entrepreneur, how can you sign up to become an ACA member, and how can you participate in ASN?
Yeah, if you're an investor, I would recommend going to the Angel Capital Association website and check out the membership link. It's easy to join. You can join individually. You can be part of an angel group that may want to join. It's a great way to engage and have access to all of the resources: public policy, education, webinars, connections, networking, summit, as you mentioned, David, which is a great place to go every year and meet with folks face to face. And then, of course, syndication. If you're an ACA member, then you're welcome to participate in any ASN call. There's no charge, no extra step required. Just let us know. If you're interested in ASN, and especially for companies that would like to present, the companies to present have to be nominated by a nominating member. So the easiest thing for founders to do is go to their angel group and say, are you a nominating member of ASN? And if they're not, then they just need to go to the Angel Syndication Network link, which we're actually updating the website right now, but they can go to the Angel Syndication Network link and just send an email to the ASN membership and find out. It's super easy.
Well, I think you're a shining light. I think you're a little humble when you say that we don't have a vision. You have really good vision. You have good insight. And because of your efforts, ASN and the future syndication through ACA, I believe will be successful. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm speaking on behalf of Dave Berkus as well. Thank you so much for sharing. And until next time, Dave, do you have any last words?
Well said. All right. So that'll do it. Thank you very much, Joann. Appreciate your
Thank you,
coming.
David. Thank you, Dave, so much. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Till next time.